Okay, then we'll start for the day. Welcome to one of present here, and thank you for joining on the day three of the boot camp. Today we will be learning about SQL and how to write some simple queries using SQL so that we can perform some database operations. Before that, if you would like to brush up on what we saw the previous 2 days, maybe I can take you over to that also. So in the day one, we saw about the front end part, right? And we also saw like how to add stylings. And yesterday we learned some more concepts on how to style different elements. So whatever we did yesterday is just the visual part, like which is presented to the user. And today we'll be learning on starting with the backend part because we what we did yesterday was the front end. So we will be starting with the backend stuff today. So before actually diving in depth into backend, we should know that backend is always involves some sort of database. So we'll be looking, exploring more on that today. So in today's session, I will say like what database is and why we need a database. So before answering those questions, like when you create a any account in any of the sites, for example, let's say Google, what do you usually do? Like if you will click here and let's say you're signing into new account. When you enter some email address and if you when you enter some password, if you give the correct password, it is taking you to your user page, right? So when it's correctly taking you to the user page, it means that like access of such information is possible only because it is stored somewhere systematically. Okay, I guess I haven't shared the slide for today. Yeah, that's because it's stored somewhere in a proper order. That's why we are using database. So to define a database, we'll say like a database is a collection of individual items which are stored in a structured manner so that we can access them in a easier fashion.
Recording in progress.
In today's session, I will be needing, like in yesterday's session, I had mentioned that you have to install XAMPP. So I hope you guys installed it. If not, I'll just share the link again in the chat box. And you can install XAMPP in your system because we'll be using one of the component which is present in XAMPP. That will allow us to create databases and work with it. So I'll share the link in the chat box. Like if you haven't done, you can start installing XAMPP. After if you have installed XAMPP, make sure to do this step also. Like this will be helpful for you later. So I'll share this URL as well. So yeah, where is this? So yeah, like having a database allows us to easily access, manage, or modify information. So like for a simple example of database would be this Google Sheet. Like just type go to sheets.google.com. Just for example, I'm just opening it. I'll create a new sheet. I'll just give it like day 3 example. Sample. I'll just zoom in and here I'll just say I'll rename the sheet to student and I'll just add that serial number column or I'll just directly add register number and name and maybe department. Just 3 columns will do for the example purpose. I'll just add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Name I'll just add my name, Roshini, Vishal, Vaibhav, and maybe Rajesh. And let's say like I'm from IT department, she's from CSE, MEC, and triple EC. So we are storing all these values in a no particular fashion, right? Like according to the registration number, we are storing them. So like we are storing them because when if we store in this way, we'll be able to access it in a easy. Like when we want to fetch details of Kamal, we'll just open this particular sheet and we'll be fetching it, right? So it's for similar purpose only we'll be using a database so that we can store some values, and so that after storing the values, like we should be able to retrieve them. But let's say we have around 100 or maybe 1,000 students or more than that, and let's say each of the students are participating in some events. So what we can do, we can just add another column like events, and we can mention like they are participating in cricket or football or volleyball. Well, to store this, we are adding another column, right? Like we can do this, but let's say like there are so many data, and there are so much data that you have asked one of your friend to help you with it. But even he is not able to do that. So what he is doing is he is just splitting the big sheet into two different sheets. Like he is creating another sheet, and he is storing half the data in the sheet two. I'm just select everything and I'll just paste it over here. Sorry, not over here. Yeah, I'll just paste it over here so that only half the data are here. Just for example sake, I'm showing this. Like even when he does this, what happens is to access a particular student's record, I'll do just rearrange. Okay. I'll just remove the first three, and I'll just remove this. Okay, like when it's doing that, if you have to fetch details of Rajesh, we have to switch between the sheets and then we have to do it. It's not in a proper way. Like let's say like when we have a large amount of data, it will be very difficult for us to properly find out in which sheet it is there. And let's say we have so many sheets because we'll be having so many students in our college, right? So for each department, if they have a different sheet, it will be very difficult to identify one particular student and fetch their detail if we do it in this Excel sheet fashion. So in order to overcome that only, we are going for database concepts using different software such as database management systems. And like we are in database, we have the term called data. So can someone just unmute and tell like what they understand by the word data? You can also put in the chat box. Like what do you understand by the word data? That you can put in the chat box. Because it's a common term, so like what do you understand by the word data, that you can tell. Okay, that itself has another word called data. Yeah, raw fact. That's one of the that's the correct point, Bharat. So yeah, like Bharat said, data is nothing but like even Savir says, data is nothing but a collection of facts and figures, which can be later used for getting some valuable information. Okay, so like if I just show you these three numbers or these three, only this particular record alone, you will not be able to like separately. If I show you, you will not be able to get some information about it. You'll just wonder like these are just some random words. But if we present it in this particular format, you can understand like this particular student has this particular registration number, and they belong to this particular department. Like we're able to get the information, right? So yeah, data means just raw collection of facts, and information means gaining efficient. Yeah, that's the correct point, Karthik. So yeah, data could be in various ways such as text, numbers, audios, videos, and images. So yeah, now let's see like why do we need a database? And like recently we saw like when we have multiple sheets, it is very difficult to access. And sometimes what happens is we may have some duplicate entries. Like when we maintain Excel sheets, we may accidentally type the same name again. Okay, so that also can happen. And like as the number of no records increases, records in the sense like this entire thing is called one record. As the number of records increases, as the data increases, the file size will also increase. So it will be when the file size increases, what we do, we split it. So that will in turn make us access the data, makes the accessing part very difficult. So it is for that purpose we'll be switching over to a particular thing called database management system. Okay, now let's see like what exactly is database management system. Well, a database management system is a system application for creating and managing your databases. That's the reason why I asked you to install XAMPP. In that XAMPP, we have Apache and MySQL. And when you open the admin page of MySQL, you'll be getting PHP MyAdmin. So that is a database management system because it in turn uses MySQL. So that's one of the database management software that we'll be using in today's example. So your database management system is typically a user interface using which an user can store data in different servers in the form of a database. And one more thing is we won't be interacting with the database directly. It will act as a middleman. For to give an example of a middleman, let's say what do you say? Let's say you want to get your some certificates from the college. Like you cannot directly go and ask the HOD. Like first you have to ask a counselor, and after you get the approval from the counselor, you will be asking the HOD, right? So like in a similar way, you cannot interact with the database directly. And we have some software in between which will help us interact in a easier way. That is what is called a database management system. For example, here if you see the Google Sheet, like the Google Sheet app website is there, right? We can consider that as a database management system, and in that we are having different sheets, so that can be considered as database, and we are accessing the sheets using the keyboard, mouse, and we are entering some data. So that will be the user interface. Like from this example I'm saying. Now let's say like what are the types of database management systems we have in existence. So under one thing is like we can directly store in text files. That's what flat file database comes in, and some sort of JSON formats. And next we have the relational database. Whenever we hear the term relational database, the one thing that should come to your mind is tables. So like it's always comes in hand. Like whenever you mention relational database, we are always referring to a table only. And in RDBMS, like relational database management systems, data will be stored in multiple tables, and each table will have its own value or importance. And next we have NoSQL. NoSQL means we are not using the SQL language. No, that's a different concept. In relational database, we'll be using SQL, but just because you saw NoSQL, it doesn't mean that we are not using SQL over here. NoSQL also supports SQL. It just means that non-relational database. In simpler words, like this is a relational database, and NoSQL is a non-relational database. That means we won't be using tables, but if we want, we can use them. That's what NoSQL means. In today's stuff, we'll be using today's session, we'll be using relational database only. And to communicate with the database, we need a language. Like how we can communicate in English, right? Same way, to communicate with the database, we need a language, and that language is called SQL. With full form is structured query language. Now, I hope you, like I said, in relational database, everything is represented in form of tables. Let's say, like in this Google Sheet example, you would have stored everything, like a user's details you would have stored in one sheet, and whatever the products they have, you have, right? Let's say you are a grocery store owner, or you are a manager of Flipkart. In that, let's say you are storing user data in one sheet, whatever products you have in another sheet, and maybe in another sheet you can store like the products which they are buying. So you're using three different sheets, right? Each sheet you can consider as a table. So I just want in the RDBMS, that's what we do. Everything is represented in the form of a table, and each table will have a column, and it will have a row. Each row can also be called as a tuple. So yeah, that's also there, and each column can also be called as an attribute. And yes, like the points on the PPT says, each row represents different entries in the table. Now let's see how to create a database and work with it. If you're clear till this part, let me know. If you have any queries, feel free to put in the chat box. Okay. Okay, then I'll proceed with how to create a database using PHP MyAdmin. Like after you install XAMPP, like I will be having a control panel, right? Like for Windows users, I'm saying. Like, where is that XAMPP? Okay. After you install XAMPP, like you have to open the control panel. Like if you just go to start and if you search for control panel, you will get this. What you have to do is you have to click on Apache as well as MySQL. After you click that, what happens is it will turn to green color. Okay, and after it turns to green color, you have to click on the admin, which is near the MySQL. Like if you see this MySQL part, if you see in the straight line we have admin, right? You have to click on that. Like this is only for Windows users, which is most of you guys. So after you click on admin, you will be getting a PHP MyAdmin page. So I'll open that page in my system. And where's the file? So this login page you may or may not get, but in Linux users will have to type the username and password for the database. But for Windows users, mostly the password is blank only. Like there won't be any password for PHP MyAdmin in Windows. So just click on Go, and you should be able to see a similar screen, like whatever I'm seeing now, right? Same stuff you should also be able to see after you install XAMPP. When you click on this, after you start Apache and MySQL, you have to click on admin. When you click on admin, you will get this PHP MyAdmin page. If someone has opened this page, you can let me know in the chat box so that I can understand that you are following along with me. Okay, I have a question in the chat box. Like, can you tell some software which supports NoSQL? Well, MongoDB supports NoSQL. We also have Cassandra database, which also supports NoSQL. So yeah, in NoSQL itself, we have different types. So can you one say from first? Regarding which Bhargav, like how to start this PHP MyAdmin or which one? Like which topic? So yeah, you should be able to see this screen. So to create to start this application, well, you are a Windows user, right? So just go to start and type XAMPP, and you'll be seeing one orange color icon thing. You just click on that, and once you click on that, you'll be seeing something like this, like whatever I'm presenting, right? You'll be seeing that. After that, click on Apache, like start, near Apache you have start, right? Just click on start for Apache and MySQL. Once you do that, like in the first time when you install it, you'll be like seeing these screens. But after you install it correctly, like once you start, like everything will be in green color in the left hand side. If it is in green color, that means that it has started successfully. After that, just click on admin, which is present near MySQL. Once you click on the admin, which is present near MySQL, you'll be able to see the screen. Currently, I am using Linux, so I do not have XAMPP for Linux. I do it in a different way in my Linux system, but that is how you do it. You should be able to see the, like if you go to localhost/phpMyAdmin, you should be able to see this page. So I hope that answers your question, Bhargav. So yeah, now let's see how to create a database, in phpMyAdmin. Just click on new, and you have to specify the database name. So I'll just give bootcamp, because this is for example purpose, right? So I'll just give bootcamp. I'll click on create, and once you do that, it will ask us to create some table. So I'll just give what can I say? Like I'll just give user, or users. It says for, but it can be later modified. So I'll just click on go, and I'll just say like user will have a name. So I'll just give user underscore name. Maybe he'll have some email, right? So I'll just give email, and every user will have some password, like in case he logins, right? So I'll just store that, and just for example purpose, I'll just add age. And next we have type, which will define the type of value that we will store. For example, if you see this, in registration number, we are storing numbers, which are nothing but integers. In name, department, and events, we are storing strings. So we have to specify that while we are creating a table using the phpMyAdmin. There are different ways to create tables, so this is just one of the way. After I show this, I'll be showing you how to create this similar table using commands. So username will be a string. So to represent string, the data type which is present in MySQL is varchar, or maybe text, or yeah, it is varchar, which means varying characters. So I'll just give like length or values. Like if you use C or C++, you will be while you're working with strings, you'll be specifying the size of the string. Like in array notation, you'll be specifying like this, right? In a similar way, here also you have to specify like what is the maximum length that you can store in the name. So I'll just say 50 characters I can store. 50 characters in the sense like E is one character, M is one character, A is one character, like that. Like that 50 characters I can store. The email ID also will always obviously be an string only. So I'll just give varchar. Maybe I'll just give 100 for this. Even password will be string only. So I'll just give for this also 100. And age will be an integer, so I'll just leave that as it is. And once that is done, just click on save. And you can see that if you go to this if you click on bootcamp, it shows that we have one table with the name users. This is a table that we created. So if you clear till this part, let me know in the chat box. If you have any questions, let me know regarding that as well. Yeah, in mail have somehow number also, but that number is also internal string only. Like it will be converted into a string. It can be considered as a string. So yeah, so this is how you create a database and a table in phpMyAdmin. Now let's try to insert some values using the phpMyAdmin itself. I'll just click on users. But by default, we don't have anything. So I'll just go to this insert tab. I'll minimize this chat. And it is asking for like the username. I'll just give my name. I'll just give some mail ID. I'll just give simple password like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and I'll just give my age as 22. I'll just click on go. When I clicked on go, you can see that it has created some sort of a query. So this is how we will be manually doing it when we are coding our application, right? In web development tools such as PHP or HTML, we'll be writing some queries like this, like which will insert the values. To check whether the value has been inserted or not, what I can do is I can just click on browse. When I click on browse, it is also executing some sort of a query. Okay, so, and if you can see over here, it is showing the recently entered value. Let's try to add some more values. Just go to insert, specify the name, specify some values for the database, for the particular table, and just some random thing. And I'll just store 22 here also. I'll just give 21, just to be have some different values. I'll just click on go, and this time also it is generating one query, and it is executing it. So we are able to get the visual confirmation, right? Like one row has been inserted, so we can check it using browse, and we can see that that particular row has been inserted. So this is how you insert a particular record in the particular table. That table will be present in a database, and here the database name is bootcamp. If you're clear to this part, let me know like how to just now we saw how to insert in the table. So if you're clear about that, let me know. Okay, brother, it has my okay, you have to select Apache and MySQL. Just start those two, Bhargav. Like if you go over to this, and if you click on the start of Apache and MySQL, once it's successfully started, you will be getting this green color thing. And when you click on admin of MySQL, you'll be able to see the PHP MyAdmin page. Okay, so thank you for the confirmation, Bharat. So we'll move on to the next topic from the slide. Okay, so we saw how to create stuff using PHP MyAdmin. Now let's see how to create all this stuff using commands. So the first command that we're going to see is the create command. So I'll just open VS Code, just to keep track of what we're doing every day, right? Okay, just a minute. Someone has arrived, so I'll have to go check. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, it's just that one guest had arrived, so I had to. Okay, so this is the same folder which we were, doing stuff the previous 2 days. So just for you guys to have a reference, I'm creating this folder, and inside that folder, I'm gonna create a file, like maybe like day3.txt itself, a text file. And first, I'll type here so that I can push it to GitHub. Like once I push it to GitHub, you can access from there, right? So it is for that purpose I'm doing this. I can directly type the queries, the PHP MyAdmin itself. Like if I go to this, first you have to select the database in which you're going to work. Once you select the database, go to SQL, and here you can execute your queries. So before executing that, like I can directly type here, but I want to type it over here so that we'll have some sort of reference. Okay, I think they're calling me. Just a minute. Okay, it's just that the guest had arrived and she called me, so I had to go. So yeah, the first command is the create command, right? Create command. So using create command, what all you can do is you can create a database and you can create a table also. So first we'll see how to create a database. So to create a database, all you have to do is type create space database and then the database name. Like I'm just giving an angular bracket so that you have to replace it. So I'll just copy this. This is the syntax. This is the example. I'll create what do you say, like user underscore 2. I'll just copy this and I had selected a particular database. Well, what I should have done is I should have gone to the main PHP stuff and then clicked on SQL, like for creating databases. So I'll just paste it, and to execute it, what I can do is I can just scroll down and click on go. Another way in which you can execute is just press Ctrl and enter. And if I refresh this page, you can see that we have this user underscore 2. So this is how you create a database using the create command. Now let's see how to create a table using create command. So first, I'll just type the syntax. You'll be using the create. Then you will be typing table. Like you might be wondering why I'm writing some words in caps and some words in small. Well, SQL is not case sensitive. Like you can have this in smaller case also. But to identify like which is the SQL syntax, like which is the SQL keyword. Like in C we have int, float, like those are the keywords, right? Similarly in SQL, this create, database, table, these are the keywords. So I just want to differentiate between them and the actual value which we are typing. So that is why I'm giving in caps. But SQL will work without, like if everything is in lowercase, then also it will work for only the SQL keywords. For database names and all, you have to type it as it is. Like if it is in small, you have to type in small only. But the SQL keywords you can interchange, like uppercase or lowercase. So yeah, create table, then the table name, and then you have to open this parenthesis, and each SQL statement should end with the semicolon. SQL query and the column name, column underscore name underscore 1, the column type, column underscore type, and maybe the length. Like we had described the length for the the name here, right? Similar way, and you have to separate it. Like if you have more than one column, this is just a syntax. This is not the actual query. It's just a syntax. So column 2, column 3, and like that you can have how much ever columns you want. Now let's try to create a proper table. So to do that, create space table, and here I'll give users is here, right? So I'll just give profile. I'll call the table name as profile because here we had created a table called user underscore 2. So to add relevant stuff, I'm giving the name as profile for the table. I'm opening the parenthesis. In the profile, what we will have, well, we can have is that will have his name, which will be varchar. I'm giving varchar in caps because it is one of the SQL keyword. After that, we have to specify the length. So I'm giving that length in the parenthesis itself. And then I'm giving a comma. After that, I'm giving age. That's another field that should be an integer. So I'm just giving int. And for now, we'll just have these two. And I'll give a semicolon. So I'll just copy this I will go to this particular, first I have to select in which database I'm going to work. If you see the screen, I have selected bootcamp, but I don't want to work in bootcamp database. I want to work in user underscore 2 database, which I had created. So I'll click on that. After I click on that, it's saying like no tables are found. Well, after that, what I will do is to create the table, I will click on SQL. Then I will paste, and I'll just scroll down and click on go. And it says like the query has resulted in empty result. That's fine. But now if we click on the database, we can see that a table with the name profile, like whatever name we had given, right, it has been created. So this is in how you create a table and a database using create command. So if you're clear till this part, let me know. If you have doubts, let me know regarding that as well. Okay, thank you for the confirmation, Harshini. Oops. Okay, we'll move on to the next topic then. Where's the slide? So yeah, we saw how to create a database. We saw how to create a table, and we also had inserted manually, right? After going to insert option, like when we selected the table, we went to insert option and then we inserted. Now let's see how to do the same thing using commands. So what I will do is I just draw a line so that it denotes a new topic. So this is insert command. So to do an insertion, what I have to do is first I have to type insert. Like I'll type the syntax first. Insert into, and then the table name, and maybe the columns in whatever you want to insert. Then you have to type values. Like whatever is in caps, that is the SQL keyword. Like it's a keyword in the SQL language. And then you have to specify the the value 1. Call, I'll just give call 1, call 2. The column 1 and column 2. And value 1. Like the corresponding value for that particular column. Value 2. And as usual, each SQL query should be delimited with a semicolon. Like delimiting means like if you write a sentence in English language, you'll be having a full stop, right? Same way here we'll be adding a semicolon in this particular language. So yeah, we'll see an example. So we had previously created this profile table. So to insert into that, what I will do is insert into profile, and I'll mention the columns. The columns are name and age. So name, comma, age, and then the values. And then what we have, yeah, we have to specify the values. Well, name I had given us varchar, which is a string. So for strings, you can either use single quotes or you can use double quotes. Okay, so I'll just give it in double quotes so that it indicates a string. So as usual, I'll just give my name, and for the age, I'll just give my age, or maybe for change, I'll give Percy, and I'll give age 48, some age, some random age. I'll save this file. I'll copy this query, and I will go to this SQL part of this particular database. I'll select the database. I'll go to SQL. I'll paste it, and I'll press. I can scroll down and click on go. If you can see, it says one row has been inserted. So if I go to if I click on this profile table, I can I'll just zoom in a little bit maybe. If you can see, it has inserted the newly like whatever we had given in commands, right? It has inserted that. Let's insert some more values then. Like I'll just copy this and paste it multiple times. Well, you might wonder, like, why should I, copy the same thing again and again? Well, for that, what you can do is, instead of doing all those stuff, you can just put a comma, and you can remove all these extra stuff. And you have to separate each, okay, fine. Each thing with a comma instead. Only at the last you have to have the semicolon. So I'll remove the semicolon one from the first line. So I'm just bringing everything to one line. You can maybe like format it so that it will look neat. So I'll just bring this to new line. Like insert into profile. I'm specifying the columns. Now I'll specify the values one below the other. You can do it in this way also. There is no harm in that. It will look neat, and you can understand like what is actually happening also. So obviously I won't be entering the same detail again. So I'll give some different names. I'll give Annabeth or some name. I will give Joe, and I'll give Leo, and I'll give Calypso, some names. And age also I'll just change it. Some values 12, 16, 22, 38. Some values. I'll just save it. I'll copy it. And if I just scroll up and click on this, data, first I'll select the database, then SQL, then I'll paste the query, and I'll just scroll down. I'll click on go. It says 4 rows has been inserted. To verify that, I'll just click on the table, and if you can see, it has inserted 4 rows. Like Annabeth, Joe, Leo, and Calypso have been inserted into the particular table. So, for example's sake, I'll have this. I'll add that previous command also. Like we had this Percy, right? So insert into profile. Just copy this. So this is for single value. This is for multiple values. We had 48 and with the name Percy. So we saw how to insert one particular value, and we also saw how to insert multiple values using insert command. If you are clear to this part, please let me know in the chat box. Then I'll just push it to GitHub. Learn. What did we learn? SQL. In that we saw insert and create commands. So yeah, you can now, if you want to practice, you can just go to this particular repository and click on that. And if you go to this day 3, you can see that particular file. All the commands, whatever executed, is present over there. So you can execute in your system also. So I'll proceed with the next topic, as I guess you don't have any questions. I'll proceed with the next topic. Yeah. We also saw the insert command. Okay, we saw how to insert, and we also saw how to see the records manually by clicking the profile, right? Now let's see how to get the details by writing some queries. If you see above, we already have one, so I'll just copy that, or better, for better case, I'll just go to this. I'll click on SQL, and I'll write it manually. So to fetch a particular record or set of records from the database, what we do is we use the select query. Select. Star means all the columns. Like in profile, we had 2 columns, right? So it will fetch all the columns. To fetch specific columns, what I can do is I'll just give a name, because name is a column, right? So I'll just specify name. You can either do one particular column, or you can do the set of columns. And like if you're doing set of columns, you can rearrange the column names also. Name and from. I'll just specify the table name. Table name is profile. And as usual, each SQL statement should be enclosed within, like it should be delimited with a semicolon. So I'm giving semicolon. So I'll just click on go. I had given age first and then the name. So, but when I created the database and when I created the table, I had given name first and the age. So you can fetch in that way also. You can either, now we'll try to fetch only the name alone. See, we are able to get only the name. So this is how we fetch data from the database using select query. So this is the third topic which we saw, select command. Let's paste it again. Star means all the columns. Specific columns. So yeah, this is how we fetch from the database. Okay. If you have any queries, feel free to let me know in the chat box. Or I guess if you can unmute, you can unmute and ask. So this is how we fetch. Now let's see the next topic. What are we have? We have reached the 20th slide. Okay. Next we have this null values in the table structure. So I'll just click on the this particular entry, and I'll go click on the structure option. If you can say this, I'll just zoom in a little bit. If you can see in the null column, we have both as yes. So what that actually means is, I'll just zoom out a little bit. If I go to insert, and if I don't type anything, and if I click on go, it will insert it. And if I click, if I view that a particular table, I can see that it has inserted null values. So by default, we may want some null values for some particular columns, but names for some columns we do not want it. Like some value should be there instead of empty records. When we have empty records, it will make the accessing part a little bit difficult, right?
அதெல்லாம் விட்டேன்னு வச்சுக்கோ.
Anyways, fine. Like we do not want some empty values in the database, so we have to avoid it. So let's see how to restrict null values using commands. So while we are like, let's go back to the create table command. I'll just copy it. I'll scroll down. I'll just paste it. So if I want name to be not null, what I will do is, like it should be empty. Like I should the database management system should not allow me to enter empty values. So to do that, all I have to do is just specify not space null. That's it. And let's try to create this new table. Like I'll give profile underscore 1. I'll just copy it. I'll select the database. I'm going to the SQL part. I'll just paste it. I'll press enter. Okay, so I'll click on profile underscore 1 because that is the newly created table. Now if I go to insert tab and if I click on go, it is still allowing me. Okay, it is taking the, because empty string is not a thing. I'll do one more thing. I'll better make the age as not null, because empty string is also a string. And see. Click on the database. I'll go to SQL, paste it, and press enter. I'll select the newly created table. I'll go to insert. Now it shouldn't allow me to insert it. Yeah, it is not allowing. So this is how you specify, to restrict, so that we don't have any duplicate or empty values in the particular table. You have to specify it, like it should not be null. Till now we saw like how to insert some values in some random order. Now let's see how to insert in a proper serialized way. Serialized way in the sense, like the registration number will be in one particular order, right? Like we have 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. Okay, I'll just remove this. We'll be having the one proper column which will help us identify, like with the registration number of a student, we can easily identify like that particular student's name and their details, right? So we need something to be as a base. We cannot have name because two persons can have the same name, so we can't have a duplicate entries like that. We need a proper unique thing which will help us pinpoint the particular student easily. So we do that stuff by using a property called primary key. So we also saw the null constraints, like something cannot be null. If I specify not null, it should not allow us to enter. So yeah, it cannot be null. Like that's what I have said over there. We discussed that. So yeah, we have got the primary key topic. Let's create a primary key for this particular table. We'll do one thing. We'll just copy the same query again and paste it. But this time we'll add a primary key. To do that, what we'll do is we can have anything as a primary key. So I'll just give registration underscore number. That we have to specify the data type. So it should be int, and I'll just give primary underscore, primary space key. I guess that is it. I'll do one thing. Before that, I'll just remove these extra tables. No, let it be there. Like what's there in that? So this is the profile number 3. I'll just copy it. I'll go to user 2. I'm selecting the database. I'm going to the SQL tab. I'm just removing the whatever is present and just pasting it so that I can create a new table with a primary key. Primary key can be anything. So it can be also name, but we just now saw that name cannot be a primary key because it will have some duplicate values. So what else we can have as primary key is you can have email address as a primary key, because each person will have at least one unique email address. So that can be a primary key. So that's the thing. Like every time, it's not necessary that only an integer or data type column should be a primary key. It can be anything. It can be a string. So that's what I'm trying to convey. So I'll just execute this query. And if I go to profile 3 and click on structure, we can see a new symbol called this golden color key, right? That indicates that it is the primary key and it cannot be null. By default, whatever column we specify as primary key, right, it cannot be null, because that is what is going to help us uniquely identify each student or each record in this particular case. So it has automatically added this not null field for the primary key. Like if you see the query, I hadn't specified not null. but the SQL has understood the what I'm trying to do, and it has automatically added that. So let's try to insert into this particular newly created table. So as usual, we'll do that using queries. So insert into profile underscore 3, profile underscore 3, values. We have to specify the column, right? Like we'll give ID. Oh, it's registration number. Okay, registration number, name, and age. So instead of typing, what I'll do is I'll just copy the previous command, and this time I'll try to give some. Well, I'll just keep it as it. Let's say I'm giving 1, and I'm giving name as what shall I give? I'll give the name as Jaya. And let's say I'm giving the age as 30, and I'm giving a semicolon. Control C. If I go to SQL and paste it, it is inserting it. Like if I go to the same SQL part and execute it, like if I try to fetch all the records, I click on go, I'm able to get it. Get the newly inserted record. It's over here. Like I hope you can follow it. It's over here. Let's try to insert another record. But this time I won't be specifying the the primary key. So I'll just paste it. Oops, I had selected the new stuff, right? So let's try to copy this, and let's try to insert this without the the registration number column. I'll go to SQL. I'll execute it. It says that the registration number does not have a default value. So that's the thing, right? So every time if I have to insert a new record, I have to specify the ID. And like, what if we had some way to make the SQL automatically add it? Well, there is a way. And for that, what we have to do is, while we are creating the table, we have to add one more specific property. So let's say I'm giving this side the table, I think as ID. And let's say I'm specifying the database type. And after that, what I have to do is I have to specify like auto increment, auto underscore increment, and then I have to specify the primary key, because that will be the primary key, right? That will help us uniquely identify each record. And age should not be empty, so I'll just give age int space, not null. So I'll just copy it. So I'll be like, okay, we already have 1, so I'll just give it as 4. You might wonder, like, instead of doing all creating multiple tables, is there any other way? There is. For that only we have this alter command. So using alter command, you can easily modify every time in the same table itself instead of creating multiple times. Anyways, we'll try to create another table which has this auto increment property, and that will be our primary key. I'll just give it as registration number itself. I will execute this, and we got the profile underscore 4. If I go to and click on structure, it has added that extra property of auto increment. So this time, what I can do is I can just specify name and age alone, and the like the DBMS is there, right? It will automatically add the registration number field for us. So to prove that, what I will do is I'll just scroll up. Like we have this multiple values, right? I'll just copy it because it just has a name and age alone. So into profile underscore 4. Like we have to table the specify the correct table. So because it is in that only it will be inserted. I'll just copy it and I'll go to SQL. I'll remove the default thing, whatever is present. I'll paste it. And when I try to insert this, it will automatically add the registration number for each of them. So I'll just execute this by scrolling down and clicking on go. And if I go to this profile underscore 4 table, you can see that it has added the registration number column on its own. Like we did not add it. We had just given name and age. The DBMS has added the registration number column for us. It has filled the values for us. I know it's a lot to learn new stuff because SQL, like most of you were, when you fill the form, it had given like, you were new to this. So if you have any queries, feel free to interrupt and ask questions. I'll be able to clarify them. So if you're clear till this part, let me know in the chat box. Okay, I guess I'll just proceed to the next topic because we have to cover some topics by the end of the day. Oh, we're just left with few more concepts. Okay, we have this unique constraint. Okay, let's see what it is. Okay, I had said, right, instead of adding all the stuff, what we can do, we'll just now stick with profile underscore 4 table itself. So if I go over here, I'll just select all these and I'll just remove them. With selected, I'm dropping it. So if you can see over here, we have a query, right? So that is called this a drop query, and drop query can be used to delete tables, as well as it can be used in between of update statement so that we can drop some of the columns. Let's say we want to remove a specific column from a particular table. At that time also we can use drop. Along with the alter command, we can use drop and it will remove the table for us. I'll show all the stuff in execution now. I guess that would be better. Yeah. So now we have this profile underscore 4 table, right? If you see the structure, we just have 3 fields. Let's try to add another column using the alter command. Alter command helps us to modify the existing table without having to create new tables every time we have a new change. We can just use the alter command and change the stuff of that particular table. So alter, then you have to type table, then you have to specify the table, which is profile underscore 4. Then what you have to do is I will give add, because we're trying to add a new column to it. Let's say do we have email field? I guess we don't. So I'll just add email and I'll just specify it as varchar of 30, and I'll just try to execute this. And if I go to profile, I'll just click OK. Since I had didn't specify whether it should be empty or not, it has filled some values for us. When I click on structure, we can see that it has added a new column for us. Like email is a column now. So we can use alter command to add or modify the, let's say like we have added this email, right? Let's say we want to remove that particular email field. We can again use alter command for that. Alter table, then we have to specify the table name. Table name is profile underscore 4. Then drop command, And what column do we want to drop? We want to drop the email column. So I'll just specify that, and if I execute it, it'll ask a confirmation, like whether I really want to remove it. Yes, I do want to remove it, so I just click on OK. And now if I go to structure, we can see that the email column has been removed. So this is how you remove stuff. Like I'll just specify that we modify the table properties using the alter command. In that, let's just add the example which we had done. Alter table profile underscore 4, add, the column was email, and we had to specify the data type. To add a new column to remove an existing column. Alter table. We have to specify the table name. Then drop. Then we have to specify the column which we want to remove. So this is how we modify the table properties using the alter command. You can also change the properties of an existing column using alter command. Name, we have varchar of 30, right? Let's say I want to increase this 30 to 50. Well, I can do that also using this alter command. But since I'm trying to wind up the session by 7, I will just skip the topic for now. You can easily, Google search it. Yeah, if I have to do, I can just double click and, I can click on change. I can change it using the PHP MyAdmin in this way also. See, alter table, you have to specify the table name, then change the existing column and the new column, whatever it is. After this line, whatever is there, you can ignore that. Like what's only this part is a query. To change the property of existing column. So yeah, we saw one extra command. Like I didn't plan to teach alter, but we saw it. But fine. Okay, let's see how to update it. Like where was I? Okay, I guess before that I'll just share the feedback form because it's almost time and only like few concepts are there. So I'll share the feedback form so that you can start filling it. By the time I complete the topic, by the time you fill the feedback form and complete the topic, it'll be 7 and we can call it a day. So I'll share the feedback form. And if you have any queries, you can either put it in chat box or while you are executing, if you are facing some issues, like after the session, if you are facing some issues, feel free to message me in WhatsApp. I'll be taking the questions or doubts, whatever you have there also. Okay, it is getting loaded. Let's refresh the page. Right click, copy address, and that's the chat box. Like we'll be learning this concept in the second year, 4th semester. So like it's almost 1 year after that only you'll be learning. So this is kind of like if you're in first year, make use of it. Even if you're in second year, make use of it. Doesn't matter in which year you are there. As long as you have some seniors like me to teach you stuff, you are in a better hands. Acha, you are from first year, so yeah, you're learning some stuff in extra. Like you can, like now that you know the basics of it, you can explore and learn more topics on the same. Like in school itself, we have lots of stuff. So if you know the basics, you can explore the additional concepts. So yeah, I'll try to go to the next topic. Till then, you fill up the feedback form. And for this day, I do not have any sort of task. But if you would like to solve some questions, I have prepared around 50 questions, and there is no time limit for that. Like you can solve like whenever you want. Okay, so there is no time limit for that. Like for the previous task, we had said like you have to submit it within these particular days, right? Well, for this, we don't have any time limit or time constraint. You can solve whenever you want, and if you solve those questions on your own, you will be thorough in SQL. Like that, I can guarantee you. Like if you try to solve the questions on your own, you'll be strong in SQL. And for SQL notes, you can just go to my repository, and if you click on MariaDB, I have like one of my friend had added the notes, so you can refer to that. All this stuff you can refer. I'll share this link in the group, so that will be helpful. There's a bootcamp. Array. I guess Firefox crashed. Okay, I'll just open Firefox again, or I'll just drop it in the chat box. Start my session. I'll just drop in the chat box for the notes. For SQL notes, you can refer to this. These are pretty good. I have learned HTML and CSS. Last project is pending, and acha, yeah, like they'll be asking you to create a project. After that, only they'll giving you the certificate. You can also, after you complete HTML and CSS, try to start JavaScript Bogish. It will be helpful. It's not just for Bogish. Anybody can take up the course from FreeCodeCamp and learn. So those are the notes. But I had said I will give you some questions, right? So in the same repository itself, I have this practice link. So, acha, so in that I have lots of questions. Like I have given you some specific table stuff also, and how to create the table, which I have given above, right? That as well as on how to insert this particular thing. So you can try to solve these questions, and if you face any question, if you have any doubts in any of the questions, feel free to message me in WhatsApp. I'll answer those. This practice is for so that you can get a hang of SQL to write different queries. You are free. You can make use of the internet to find the answers, but I am very much doubtful that I will get some answers on that. CSS full form is cascading style sheets. Yes, that is the full form. Sai Bhargav. That is the full form of CSS. Because whatever questions you see over in this particular link, I framed it on my own. So it is doubtful that you will get it on the internet. But if you get, understand what is happening in the query and try to solve it. Yeah, that's try to understand what is happening. But all these questions I framed it, so it's rare that you will get it on the internet. But anyways, let's move on to the next topic. What is meant by cascading? That is a very good question. We'll Google it. We'll Google it together. Okay, meaning. It means like to pour downwards rapidly in large quantities, pass something on a succession to others. Well, in simpler words, let's say you have a pen and you are giving that pen to a friend. But let's say you are the one king and you have your son. After you die, like your kingdom will belong to your son, right? So that can also be called as cascading, or maybe inheritance. I mean, that is called inheritance, and that's the actual stuff which is happening. But you can also call it as cascading, like passing from one thing to another, because that is what we are doing, right? In CSS, we are specifying all the style properties in one file, or in one part, and we are passing it to a particular HTML file, or an HTML element, so that the styling gets applied. So that is what cascading style sheet means. Okay, let's try to come. Oh, just still crashed again. Alright, it's over here. I'll share those links in the the practice links group. But let's see, like, where are we? Bootcamp A3. We saw what all we saw. We're almost towards the end. So yeah, only the update and delete command is here. Let's open php-myadmin localhost. And I mean, for me the browser had crashed, so I'm opening it again. I'm going to the user_2 database, and I'm going to SQL. First, I'll just view the existing content. In that, I have Annabeth, Joe, Leo, Calypso. So yeah, I'll go to SQL to update. Let's try to update age of Joe to 32. Like, the current age of Joe is 16. Let's try to update the age of Joe to 32. So to do that, what we will do is we'll be using the update query. Okay, and update, then we'll specify the table name. Table name is profile set. After that, we'll be using the set keyword, and then we have to specify the column age, right? Set age equal to 32. If we just do this, and if you don't specify the where, what happen? Like, I'll just execute this. I'll just copy this command first, and paste it over here. Like, I'll tell you what happens if I don't specify the where. I'll execute and show. So yeah, like, it's asking, like, do I really want to? Because what happens is it will apply the age equal to 32 for all the fields. Like previously, like every record had age, different age, right? Now if I refresh, each person's age is 32. But what I wanted to do was, I wanted to update only Joe's age, right? I wanted to update only Joe's age to 32. So to specify one particular record, we have to add the where condition. So we'll try to change age of Joe to back to 16. So I'll click on SQL. I'll just paste it. Where? Where? To uniquely identify each record, we had created a registration number, right? So we will use that. You can also use name, like where name equal to Joe. That also you can do. Where name equals Joe. So since Joe is a string, we can do it either in this way. Like, we can either specify name and do it. In this case, it will work. But what if some other person also had the name as Joe? Then for them also it will get updated. So for safe practices, whatever we have specified as primary key, we have to update the values using that. But to show that it will work for name also, I'll just execute this. I'll refresh the page. Okay. Oops, I hadn't specified 16. I'll specify it as 16. I'll refresh it. Now you can see that Joe's age has been updated to 16. Now we'll try to update using the primary key, which is registration number. We'll update Leo's age to maybe 48. We'll go to SQL. Set age equal to 48, where registration number equal to, what is Leo's registration number, 3. We can update in this way also. If we go over here, Leo's age should be updated. See, Leo's age has been updated to 48. For safer practices, specify the where condition and update the record using the primary key of the table. So yeah, next what command we have? Next we have the delete command. So I'll do one thing. I'll just refresh. If I say what shall we delete? We'll try to delete Calypso. But before that, let me go to the query box and yeah, like delete from the table name, I guess, profile 4. If I just specify that what happens is every record will be deleted. To show that it is working, I'll just execute it. That is why it's asking for confirmation, because it's gonna remove all the stuff. I'll just click OK anyways, just to show that it will remove everything. But this is not a recommended way. See, it has removed everything. So whenever we are updating or deleting, we have to specify the where condition. That you should not forget. This is applicable for delete command 2. So let's try to insert some values again so that we can remove one specific. Just copy it. I'll go to SQL. And _4, because that's the table name. We got some data again, so let's click on profile. Yeah, we have some data again, and you can see that the since we had removed 4 records, it is starting the number from 5. So let's try to remove Calypso's record, which is the registration number is 8. So we'll remove that particular record. So I'll click on SQL, delete from, and from is a SQL keyword. I'll give it in caps. From profile 4, like I would have mentioned in the table, where registration number is equal to 8. I'll just copy it so that I can, like it's asking for a confirmation. I'll just give the confirmation, and if I refresh it, we can see that registration number 8 is gone. Only 567 is there. You can also remove based on multiple conditions. Like, let's say we want to remove all those age which is greater than 12. If 16 is greater than 12 and 22 is greater than 12, right? So we'll try to remove them using query. To do that, what you will do is, where registration number is greater than 12, you can do it in this way. So if I execute this, and if I go to the profile and refresh, okay. Oh, I had given registration number greater than 12. I have to give age, sorry. I had given the wrong stuff. I had given registration number as 12, where age is greater than 12. So in that way, you can have lots of conditions and stuff like that. You can refer to the notes which I have shared Hopefully it will be there in that. If not, feel free to contact me and I'll help you out with the questions. If I execute this, it should remove the records now. Yes, it has removed. So that brings us to the end of today's session. So yeah, in today's session we saw, let's quickly brush up on what we saw today. We saw how to install some stuff. Like, I mean, I had given the link and you guys were doing it. And we also saw what is a database. We also saw the, like, what is a data, types of data. We also saw how, why we exactly need a database, and what is a DBMS, why we use DBMS, the types of DBMS, and like whenever we heard of the term relational database, the word table should come to our mind, and each table will have rows and columns. We also saw how to create the table and database in PHP-MyAdmin as well as through queries. We also saw how to insert values through PHP-MyAdmin and through commands. We also saw what is a null constraint. We also saw what do we mean by a primary key. Like, primary key is something which will help us to uniquely identify each and every record. By record, I mean the row. Like, each row is there, right? A row or record means the same. And we also saw like what are the other stuff which can be unique. Like, email ID can be unique, right? So yeah, name should be unique. See, both of them are having the same name. It should not be there because duplicate should not be there. We also saw update command. We also saw delete command. So yeah, that is it. Like, that brings us to the end of the session. I will push, like, I'll upload the code whatever we did today, right? Whatever I had given in the text file, I'll push it to the GitHub, so you can refer from there. Learn SQL basic concept. I'm just pushing it to GitHub. I'll go to chat box to see any queries, if any queries are there. Brother, whatever you have sent in chat, please post in WhatsApp group in Zoom chat. Acha, okay. I'll do one thing. I'll just create a file and I'll share it with you all in the group. You can refer to all the links and stuff from there. And once again, I ask you to fill the feedback form. Where's the feedback form? On that. And I'll share the link in the chat box. Make sure to fill up the feedback form, guys, because only if you fill on consecutive days, you will be getting the certificate. Okay, the Firefox has crashed. Yes, brother, all that should be in place, which will help us in future. Yes, I'll be putting all the stuff in one file, and you can just refer to that file. And I'll be sharing that file in the form of a link. So whenever you click on the link, or whatever we discussed on each day, you can take it from there. Or you can just refer to the GitHub repository, man. Like, everything is there in that repository. Where is that? It is there in this particular repository, but I guess I'll just share it. Since this is just a temporary account which I had created to show you guys how to do it, I may be probably removing it. I'll be deleting that particular account because I do not want multiple accounts. One account is more than enough for me. Maybe I'll just put all the stuff in a GitHub. I mean, maybe in a Google Drive I'll upload, and you can take it from there day wise. Any other questions or suggestions you guys have? Feel free to let me know. I guess there are no questions. So thank you for joining today, guys. Oh, that's a question. What is DBMS and RDBMS? Well, both are database management systems. What that actually means is like then it provides an efficient way to interact with the database so that the user can manage the tables, the records in a efficient manner. That is what a DBMS does. And RDBMS is just a type of DBMS. So the full form of RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. Like I said, whenever we hear of the term Relational Database Management System, the word table should come to our mind. That is, in RDBMS, we use in RDBMS we use tables to store the data. Like everything is stored in a tabular format.
Like
Okay, well, Pradesh, your voice is breaking, so it's not clear. Maybe you can put it in the chat so that I can take up your question. I'll check WhatsApp after the session, Bhargav. Because currently, while I'm taking sessions, I don't check WhatsApp. But I can see that you have sent a message. I'll check it out. So I guess that is it. Like, if you have any further questions, feel free to message me in WhatsApp. I will take your questions over there. So thank you for joining today. So I'm ending the call for everyone, and you'll get the session recording in the WhatsApp group. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, brother.